time for What's Up This Week.
Hello everybody and welcome to What's Up This Week, your weekly dose of facts and trivia from University Branch Library. For this episode, Katrina is going to get things started with her remote report on Poe. Take it away, Katrina.
Hello, this is Katrina Russell. I'm a librarian at the University Branch Library of Fort Bend County Libraries. This week we are commemorating the death of Edgar Allan Poe, who died on October 7, 1849 in Baltimore, Maryland. After his wife Virginia, who was also his first cousin and whom he married when she was only 13 years old, died of consumption at the age of 24, Poe sought the solace of many women, one of whom turned out to be an old flame, Sarah Shelton, née Royster, who was recently widowed. They decided to get married. So Poe left Richmond to go to New York to get his aunt/mother-in-law, Aunt Maria Clem, and bring her down to Richmond for the wedding. He got as far as Baltimore, where he just completely disappeared for 5 days. For 5 days, he was not seen anywhere. And then on Election Day, October 3rd, he was found delirious and in somebody else's clothes outside of a saloon, which was used as a polling place. Now, in Baltimore at that time, there were gangs called cooping gangs who would kidnap bystanders and drug them up and give them alcohol and change their clothing and disguise them and take them to various polling places so that they could cast multiple votes for their candidate. Whether this is what happened to Poe or not, we don't know. But when he was found, he was completely delirious, dressed in somebody else's clothes, and his friends took him to a hospital where he unfortunately died 4 days later. That's the first mystery. Where was Poe for those 5 days? He was buried in Westminster Presbyterian Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia, which leads us to mystery number 2, called the Poe Toaster. Every year, on January 17th, which is Poe's birthday, from 1949 to 2009, a masked man would come to the cemetery between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. and leave 3 red roses and a half-full bottle of cognac on Poe's grave. No one knows who he is or why he did this, and all of a sudden it stopped in 2009. Whether he died or whether he just decided to stop, nobody knows. That's mystery number 2. Mystery number 3 is who really is Edgar Allan Poe? The first biographies we have of him were written by Rufus Griswold, who was an arch enemy of Edgar Allan Poe's because Poe had written scathing reviews of his works in his literary magazines. So many of the scurrilous tales about Poe may or may not be true. We will never know, will we? Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Well, thank you, Katrina, for that fascinating information. Okay, Megan, what weird thing do you have for the folks this week?
This week's weird thing is that October 7th is Random Acts of Poetry Day. This holiday is observed annually on the first Wednesday of October. It is simply a day to celebrate poetry by spreading it around your community. Writing poetry can soothe your soul and help you to express your emotions, and reading it can help you to relax and also improve your critical thinking skills. The best way to participate in Random Acts of Poetry Day is to place poems in random places for people to discover. Follow me for inspiration as I place poems around the library for my coworkers to discover. You can type a poem onto a computer screen for someone to find, write a poem on a whiteboard, tape a poem to a bathroom mirror, leave magnetic poetry someplace random, make book spine poetry, or just slip a poem under someone's door. You just might put a smile on someone's face. If you're simply looking for some poems to read, Fort Bend County Libraries has a lot of poetry books for you to check out. Here are a few titles that may interest you.
Oh, what's this?
Okay, so for this concluding segment, we'll be recognizing National Hispanic Heritage again by spotlighting 2 particular Hispanic artists. Oswaldo Guayasamín was born in 1919 in Quito, Ecuador. He demonstrated artistic talent early on as a child. Eventually, he attended the School of Fine Arts in the city. But it was in 1948 when Guayasamín had an exhibition at the Salón Nacional de Acuarelistas y Dibujantes and won first prize that he really distinguished himself as a painter and sculptor. His Cubist-style paintings often depict themes of injustice and poverty, works heavily inspired by his own experiences. Before his passing in 1999, Guayasamín was working on La Capilla del Hombre, or the Chapel of Man, an art museum dedicated to Latin American artists. The building was completed in 2002. In his home country, Guayasamín is considered a national treasure. Maria Sol Escobar, later known simply as Marisol, was born in 1930 in Paris, France, to wealthy Venezuelan parents. After a family tragedy which compelled her to not speak for years unless absolutely necessary, Escobar was sent away to boarding school on Long Island. Later, she moved with her family to Los Angeles, where she commenced her arts education and in time employed sculpting, assemblage, and painting into her craft. She came to prominence in the 1960s as a major talent in the New York art scene, and even collaborated with the likes of Andy Warhol. Marisol's work is often linked to the New Realism and pop art movements. A few of her notable pieces are Women and Dog, Paris Review, and Father Damien, a statue located at the front of the State Capitol and Legislature building in Honolulu, Hawaii. If you're interested in learning more about Hispanic and Latino culture, feel free to check out any of these library items. Alright folks, that concludes this week's episode of What's Up This Week. Join us next week for more thrilling information from your local library.